And today we want to focus on call tracking. Call tracking is crucial because you need to know how many leads come in through the door from each source that you have. Because if you don't know what's coming in, then you have no way to track it and you have no way to scale it. In order for you to scale it, you need to be able to know what is going on. It's crucial. A lot of people, I think, get stuck on the how of this. There's different ways to do it. It's just about having a way, one shape or form or another, to know how many calls you're getting, where they're coming from, and hopefully that'll give you that light and then tunnel. So there's a couple of ways. Let me just bring it up front and then we'll get into it. The first way, which I think is the ideal way, is CallRail. Is a tool that does exactly that. It's literally meant for call tracking. I'm not an expert in CallRail. Mike Smith is, so he'll be doing a little demo. And then there's also Legal Funnel CRM has a call tracking kind of feature. If fraud is here, I'm going to ask him to show how that's done. But those are kind of like the typical routes to take. So Mike, if you can join us.
So let me share my screen. So this is the sort of login screen. This is the first thing you see. And let's talk a little bit about what CallRail is. It's really a couple of different things. One, it does call tracking, and there's a couple of ways that you can do that. The first thing, the reason that I started using CallRail many years ago is that it has something called dynamic number insertion. And the way that works is you have a pool of numbers and there's a little bit of JavaScript code you drop on your website. And then every person that visits your website is randomly given one of those numbers, and that tracks where they came from. It gives you the UTM parameters, which is a tracking code essentially for where that person came from. So that's one thing that CallRail does. The second thing that CallRail does is it allows you to set up numbers just like you've done in Legal Funnel. So you could set up a number that you're going to use in Google My Business or Google Business Profile or a Facebook ad or a print, whatever you wanted to do. You can set up a number to use. And then when someone calls that number, you get information that tells you that, you know, where they came from. So this is sort of the home screen that we're looking at here. And this shows you, a lot of information. This is just sort of a dashboard on the top that shows you, how many inbound and outbound calls we got today, what the source of those calls was, et cetera. And then I can click into activity and I get a line by line listing of each call. And then I can listen. There's a recording of the call that I can listen to. And it also uses AI to transcribe the calls. So, and you pay extra for that, but I'll show you in a minute why that's a neat thing to have. So this is how this is set up. And then if we go and look at our settings here, you can see that we have different numbers that are assigned to different things. So we have a pool of 7 numbers that we use for website traffic. And then each of our different ad sources, we have a number that's assigned to that. And so like this one's called Medicaid Trifold. So we had a Trifold brochure years ago that we put that we put a phone number on. And I think we gave away all of those brochures probably 10 years ago, and we still get calls on that number occasionally. We were running local service ads. Here's our local service number. Here's our GMB number, Google My Business number. So you can set up a number for anything. And then the third thing that CallRail does is it offers a VoIP service. It's called Lead Center. It's the same thing as Open Phone or Ring Central or whatever. That's what CallRail does. Now, the data that CallRail sends is extremely useful, and that's where automation comes in, and I'll show you some of the neat things you can do with it. So what I do is I have a Zap set up. So every call that gets completed in CallRail comes in to Zapier, and then I have a filter that filters out if it's the first call, because I'm only interested in the first call. So it filters if this is the first call and it is also looking for it to be an inbound call. Then it does a little bit of formatting. And then we get down here and we have certain rules. So if it's GMB, it goes to a certain campaign, and lead connector is Legal Funnel. Local service ads goes to another one. And then we've got our general ones that go to other campaigns in Lead Connector. And when we send these into Legal Funnel, Lead Connector is just what it is, the sort of separate API that Go High Level built to connect leads into Go High Level, which Legal Funnel is part of Go High Level. So what we're able to do, I can drop them into a particular workflow in Legal Funnel, and I'll show you the workflows in just a second. I can pull in the name information, the phone number. I've tagged that lead so we know what it is. I can take the source. This comes directly out of, or it can come directly out of CallRail. This one I've hard coded in there. And then I've pulled in a summary of the call, the recording, and notes. So it uses AI to create a summary for me. And then in Lead Center, it has the capability for the intaker to be able to put notes in there. So we pull all that data in and we're feeding that into Legal Funnel. And then when we get over to Legal Funnel, then we've got automations that we've built, workflows that take those incoming leads and do different things with them depending on what we want to accomplish. So I'm like, this one's for Google Business Profile leads. And when they come in, we have a condition whether the call is answered or not. If the call was answered, then it sends it down one track. If it wasn't answered, then it sends an SMS automated message back to the caller saying, hey, sorry we couldn't get your call. We'll call you back as soon as possible. A Slack notification goes out to my staff and a task is added in for follow-up on that. Same thing with the other calls that come in. So basically every inbound call that is a first-time caller gets added as a lead in here. And then we're addressing that lead depending on whether we were able to answer the call or not. If we didn't answer the call, then we're instructing the staff to call them back. If we did answer the call, then there's just hey, I need you to update the information in Legal Funnel if it's not already in there. And then the reporting, I wanted to show you the reporting in CallRail as well. You can get more in-depth reporting. So when you go into the reports, it will tell you all kinds of different things. You can look at calls by sentiment. So they use AI to measure the sentiment. You can see, if they're negative calls, like, hey, I need to check on that and see what happened on that call. You can review your different agents and see how many calls they're taking inbound and outbound, and you can listen in on those calls. You can look at calls by tag. You can look at day and time. So, you can get a lot of information on what's going on with your phone system through CallRail. And then up here, you've got like lead attribution, you got call attribution. So just a lot of different reports that give you really great insight into, what's going on with your phone system, how the calls are being answered. Like we determined that we weren't answering calls fast enough. And so we worked with our team on how to improve that. So this is what CallRail do for you. Sam, that's all I got, unless you or anybody else does.
And I just want to give a heads up. This is, as advanced as it gets when it comes to this stuff, and especially how far Mike took it with the paths and the separation, all that stuff. So at the very least, I would say if anybody is interested in this, again, sign up for a CallRail account and then have our team help you with setting up these things for you. Simple to start. I'm sure Mike didn't go straight from creating this. It took some time to put this together. So
Sam,
yeah.
Very briefly, are you guys using this in conjunction with like Open Phone, or is this like something different than you replace Open Phone with this?
So this is a different, so you can use it in conjunction with Open Phone. CallRail also offers its own VoIP service, which is a competitor to Open Phone. So that is this Lead Center right here is the competitor to Open Phone, if you will. Although you can use CallRail just for pure call tracking if you just want the data on where your calls are coming from and you want to be able to assign numbers to different marketing channels. So you can use it just for the call tracking, or you can also use the Lead Center VoIP service.
It probably would, it sounds like now you're using different systems, so it's always better at least for me to use one system for multiple than to kind of overlap. And now if one thing goes wrong, you have to deal with two different companies, type of thing.
I agree. That's why I use Lead Center, because I was already and I've tried a bunch of different VoIP services, not Open Phone, but other ones. And I found it just like, it was too much trouble to keep tracking. So when they came out with Lead Center, I jumped on board with that. Adam asked the question about if we have to make disclosures that the call is recorded. I don't. I'm in Georgia, and only one party on the phone one party can consent to it being recorded. So I can consent to it being recorded. I don't have to ask for permission to record it. And I feel totally comfortable with doing that. And Jason, you can add a whisper message. So you can have it tell the person who's answering the call where the call came from. This is a Facebook lead. This is whatever. And it just kind of whispers in your ear as you pick up the phone and lets you know.
But I've been using CallRail all wrong. I have it inherited from some different marketing agencies. So I have a ton of my marketing numbers through it. Then I have a ton of lawyer or numbers I've gotten from retired lawyers and our main numbers. So we have them in two separate kind of systems. So I'm going to start using some of the zaps I might reach out to, because I'm going to look through it, try to keep organized. Because I know my Google My Business has different phone numbers, and there's a couple different numbers on our website. I just don't really look at any of that. Before MLA, I had somebody, an account rep, that would look at that stuff and just, analyze in the back end. But now that I'm taking more of a proactive approach, I need to figure out what I'm going to do with it, because it's, I'm paying for it. I think I have the transcription as well. I just
you feed those transcriptions right into your leads and legal funnel, or in your case management system. Like, I have another Zap that runs for my case management system. And so when a call comes in, it looks in my case management system to see if that phone number's in there. And if it is, then it puts the transcription into the case management system, a summary of the call. That way I don't have to count on my people to do that. So it's pretty nice.
Like, for the sake of
just for my 2 cents, am I on? Yeah.
Jason.
So I was the same. I have the call rail set up. I have open phone, but I have answering service. And then just this past 2 weeks, some of my people caught that my answering service had missed approximately it was just under 10 calls since August, and we couldn't figure out what happened, and the answering service couldn't figure out what's happening. So we went to the call rail and sort of did some forensic stuff, and we think there were hangups. I don't know if I trust my answering service about that, but anyway, it's another, that's the first time I really sort of jumped into the call rail, forensically, and used it. So it's a good tool to have. But I agree with Mike that the recording part is really good too, because another aspect that came up in the last 2 weeks is for those that use the Google LSA loves for you to put some feedback in there. And when they record the listing of the calls, and you put in there something, right? And Google likes that interaction with it, and then you'll rise up in the Google. This is how it was explained to me. I'm not pretending, right? Really, Mike Smith would know exactly or better how it works. But anyway, so your Google LSA results will increase if you're using that sort of feedback, and CallRail has a lot of that AI generated feedback. So it's really easy to put that feedback into the LSA screen. And so I'm having my people do that too, so we can sort of generate those better LSA results too.
Mike, for the people that want to keep it super simple, can they just use OpenPhone?
Yeah, they can. I'm not familiar with what data I could get out of OpenPhone. With CallRail, if you look at this, you can see, scroll down here. I don't know if that demonstrates it as well. Hold on one second. So what I'm always concerned with is what information can I get out of the back end of the system? And it depends on what their API, what they've exposed from their API. And so with CallRail, I gotta wait. Okay. When you go into the action, you can see what CallRail, what information it feeds you. So this is all the information that I can pull out of CallRail. This list that's I can't make it easier to see on here, but this gives me, UTM parameters, if I've got them, where the customer was located, recording, what the referring URL is, if there is one, whether it was answered, the transcription, how long the call lasted. All of that information is in the back end of this, and I can do whatever I want to with that information. So I use that information in this case to build leads in legal funnel. I don't know if OpenPhone has as much data on the back end that's exposed that way.
It is pretty good. So if you're on OpenPhone, just look into the reporting book first. Start with that. If that doesn't fulfill the needs, then all right. Anything else? I want Irfan to also show legal funnel CRM questions about how does it into legal funnel CRM, but anything.
No, I do. I'm interested in the legal funnel phone system that I played around with a little bit and go high level before legal funnel was set up, and it doesn't seem to be quite as robust as CallRail at this point. But I'm going to keep my eye on that to see how that develops.
I can just add, just to clarify for everybody else, you can actually, your numbers get forwarded back to whatever phone system you have as well. So it's not like it's a one or the other. They can kind of be used in conjunction, right, Mike?
That's right.
Yeah, so that leads to my question, which is if folks are highly developed in OpenPhone like we are, and they want to add the benefit of call tracking, basically those call tracking numbers are simply redirected to one or multiple of your, answers, right?
An hour max.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess my question to Mike is, or Sam, if you guys have looked, I just shared the CallRail pricing page. Thus, if you kept OpenPhone at a relatively cheap price per user, right, per month, for all the features and the team sharing and all the reasons that Sam has convinced us of, what would be the appropriate add-on from CallRail Is that simply the basic call tracking at $40 per month, which comes with like 5 tracking numbers, or?
Yeah, it's the basic call tracking. And then you can add, I think there's the ability to add more numbers if you want to. Like you can pay an extra batch of numbers if you want to. So yeah,
if you scroll down on that, anybody scrolls down, there's a standard feature matrix, and it says adding another number would be $3 each per number. But I guess my next question is, Mike, which of these plans includes the turnkey phone system that you use of the 4 plans that I'm looking at?
That's the lead center, and I don't know. I'm not looking at the same thing you are, so I don't know exactly how they.
If you look at the link.
If you could click the link in the chat, they're either way. Yeah, second one,
They don't share the price.
So the call tracking plus lead center is right here, and they're not sharing the pricing in there. I don't know why exactly, but this is what I have is the call tracking complete plus lead center.
And so that $130 per month plus whatever they're charging for lead center, and you don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's around. I feel like I'm paying around $250 somewhere in that neighborhood for the whole kit and caboodle.
But you're also paying per minute outbounds for text and calls, right?
That's right. Well, no, there's a certain number of minutes included, and then after that you're paying.
Got it.
Let's simplify. I think that there's some questions like, I have this tool, do I need it? Let's simplify why it's even the point of this. Again, the first one is to know how many calls you're getting from each source. Okay, how many calls you're getting from each source is the first purpose. Second is call recording for quality control. The first ask, does whatever I have, Ring Central, Go to Connect, any of those have those 2 things? Can I tell how many calls I got from each source? If it doesn't, then yes, that's when one of these solutions, the call rail or the legal funnel CRM, whatever, is going to fulfill that void. And second is call recording, for the sake of knowing what's going on with these calls. A lot of times, and you spend money, but you're not sending them clients. A lot of times it's because the calls are not being handled correctly. Just yesterday, we were talking to our director, has 40, 50 integrators under him. We told him, go into the weeds, listen to the calls, and create a great quality controlled score. And everybody should get a score and post that report. So yeah, but Irfat, let's have you service us. Yeah.
We started listening into our intake calls more frequently recently and discovered that it was not going really well on the intake calls. And so we're now working through training our team. But I mean, that's incredibly useful information. I mean, if you're not recording your calls, you have no idea. There's no way you would know. So it's really useful to have that information.
Thank you, Mike. And then Irfad's presenting. We'll give our input, but let's have Irfad.
When you go to settings and then to phone numbers, you should be able to see all of your phone numbers over here. And then, pardon me, but I still haven't done my A2P. I hope all of you have. So over here, when you're buying a new phone number, you also have the ability to get a new number, which is essentially used to track incoming calls. If you click on that, you should be able to select a marketing campaign and then all visitors. And then you can just write whatever name you want over here. So I want to track all of the calls from my website. So I'm just going to website traffic or however you want to do this. And then just type in the number where you want to forward these calls to. So this can be your business number, office number, cell number, however you prefer it. And then the swapping number is essentially the number that is on top of your website. If you want to swap it with the new number, then you can just untick it and you can change that number over here. But if your business phone number is on the website and you want to forward these calls on cell, then you will be using this. Otherwise, if you want to use the same number to forward the calls to, then it's not needed. And then just click on here and choose numbers. It'll prompt you to select a few numbers, select them, and I've already done that. So I'm going to show you that right here. And then you can just quickly go to number configuration. If you do that, you should be able to see the simple script that they have generated for you. Just simply copy it and then take it to your website. So I'm on a website over here. You just need to create a custom HTML JavaScript code. It won't be displayed on the front end, so you don't need to worry about it. You can put it wherever you want. Just bring it on. If you click here, you should be able to see this one right here. You can just drag it and drop it wherever. And then open code editor, put it in here. Once you have the code in there, you can simply publish your page by saving it. And then now if someone calls on this number from my website, then I should be able to go to my legal funnel in the reporting section, in the call reporting, and I should be able to get all of the statistics over here. And it even tells me if this number was a first-time caller. If they were not a first-time caller, I will be able to see that it was a repeat caller. And then you can enable call recording for it. And then in the conversation section, it will show you the entire call recording. You'll be able to listen with. Just to emphasize a little further on Mike's point over here, you need to listen to how your calls are going. And so essentially it solves that problem as well. You can also get different number pools for different sources. And then that way you can identify where this call is coming from.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. I told Irfan straight to the point, and he did make it straight to the point. But just to summarize, Legal Funnel CRM is not used as the phone service. It's just used as the phone tracking service. As Irfan showed you, if you can click on that, where it was to get the phone number again.
Yes, just right here.
On the left side, you go to settings and phone numbers, add a number, that pop up again, add a number pool. What's the difference between phone number and number pool?
So a phone number is just a phone number that someone can call you, but a number pool is essentially a number that is tracking all the calls and recording on top of it. So it is a different number that you're buying. It will be set up on the back of it. Not to be too technical over here, but that's not the number that will be displayed on the front end. It's just a number that the call is routed through to track the call. Also, we have added a new functionality in here as well. So now you should be able to forward these, you should be able to pick up these calls inside Legal Funnel, which was not possible before. Just over the internet, you should be able to get a new call right inside Legal Funnel website. Also, if you have the mobile app, you should be able to get it on the phone as well. So in that case, what you can do is you can forward this call to 3 or 4 different intakers, and then whoever wants, they can pick it up first. So if everyone has the Legal Phone app on their phone, everyone's phone will ring all at once.
Mike is asking, when is that available? Is that already available?
That is already available. You just need to go to labs over here, and then you need to enable it from here. So all of the beta features, they go to labs first, and then after a few days inside labs, we were collecting feedback, and during that time, then we enable them for everyone. So you can go over here, and it should be somewhere here if it's not already pushed out. But yeah, you can just enable that phone number from new phone number feature from here, and then it should work for you.
They wanted us to clarify, yeah, this is just the second mean of call tracking. Either Call Royal, as demoed by Mike, or Legal Funnel CRM. We're seeing
Somebody do sort of like a neutral, unbiased, like, feature comparison, not deep, but I mean, if we already have, the capabilities in Legal Funnel, do they provide similar or, sort of essential tracking data? Maybe perhaps what's missing if we did it through Legal Funnel versus a call rail, sentiment and other AI things? I mean, does somebody want to speak to that?
the difference between Legal Funnel CRM and Call Rail.
Well, not the CRM, but the phone tracking, call tracking features that are built in.
I would assume they're 99% the same. Again, because the whole point of it is, as long as you can tell how many calls came from each specific source, both of them do that. Check. Second, listen to calls. Check. Both. Ding it. Mike is probably going to say a couple of more advanced features. Go ahead, Mike. Read reporting.
I mean, I'm not necessarily, CallRail was what was available. There was nothing else in the marketplace. So that's why I adopted CallRail when I did like 10 years ago. Now, they've got me on some of their marketing stuff, I think, but I'm not a shill for the company or anything. I think it's great. But if Legal Funnel wasn't around, so this is all new. So I can't do a comparison at the moment because I don't have enough time, using Legal Funnel to be able to say like, hey, this no need to use CallRail anymore, And it's like Sam said, he's using OpenPhone, but as soon as Legal Funnel has incoming calls and we know that's working well, he's probably going to switch off of that. I'm completely platform agnostic. I'm always just looking for the next best thing.
Yeah.